All right, so good morning, early birds, good morning, beautiful people, and welcome to Monday Morning Motivation. It's awesome to have you here early in the morning. Today, I have the pleasure to have here with me our guest speaker, Rachel. Rachel, she's a serial entrepreneur. She's a marketing and branding creative and a community builder. She's one of the most energetic and active people that I know. She inspires people around her, and she has co-founded this China-based women entrepreneurship community called SheUp, where she aims to create opportunities in innovation and entrepreneurship. So welcome, Rachel. It's a pleasure to have you here this morning. And today, Rachel is going to be talking about self-accountability for entrepreneurs, organizing my life and staying motivated on Notion. She says it's easy to work for others, and sometimes the most challenging thing to do is to work for ourselves and our hustles, right? And I resonate with that so much, right? Sometimes it's easy just to do things for other people, but we kind of tend to forget our own goals and our own projects, and they are so important as well, right? So very, very pleased to have her here today. And just in case we have some new people here, let me just go through what MMM is very quickly. So we are a community of like-minded people. We love to share some inspiration and motivation, especially on Monday mornings, which are usually that day of the week that people feel a little bit more resistance, especially early in the morning. But as we were saying at 7 a.m. right now in lockdown, every day feels pretty much the same, right? But again, I think everyone really needs a boost in motivation these days. And here we like to, in our community, really like to share healthy motivation. So it's not about being always positive all the time, but really, also acknowledging your feelings. What you are feeling is valid. It doesn't need to be positivity all the time, but really we appreciate positivity and inspiration. That's why we also have our groups to share some beautiful quotes or anything that you would like to share that can help other people to stay motivated and inspired. If you are not in our groups yet, feel free to add my WeChat or Janine's WeChat, and we're gonna add you to our groups. We currently have 8 WeChat groups, more than 2,500 people. And we also have our membership. The good thing is that if you become our member, you can get access to 3 years of recordings. You will also get access to exclusive discounts with our partners, whether it's for language services, health services, coaching, beautiful and professional coaches, and other services to help your business, for example. So you can do that by scanning the QR code. And we also have our Monday Morning Meow, which is a partnership with Fuzzy Kitten Volunteers. This week we have Javi, and he's a 3-year-old boy. He's fully vaccinated, and you can adopt him or foster him if you are interested by scanning the QR code over here. He's so beautiful. Look at those eyes. I'm tempted, but I need to calm down. I think if Alicia is here, I saw that she was here. She is always tempting me to have a cat, and I'm like, no, it's not my time yet. I will get there someday. All right, and we do all of this for free, but if you want to support the project, let it grow, we appreciate your support. And the good news is that it will really be supporting the environment at the same time, because half of the proceeds go to the 1 million project. We also have our book, 365 Days of Motivation. And in the end of the month, we will have our self-coaching cards, our deck of cards So it's going to get published by the end of the month. So stay tuned for that as well. And this is our lineup for May. So next week we will have Dino, next Monday, and this upcoming Wednesday we have April. She's going to be talking about dance, couple dance, and also the benefits for mental health. So now, with no further ado, I'm gonna pass the word to Rachel. So Rachel, welcome.
Hello, hello. Thank you all so much for joining on this bright and early Monday morning. You guys are all awesome. Thank you for not making excuses, like Sophia said, and keeping yourself accountable for today. And that's what we're all here about. So I'm sharing my screen, and thank you, Monday Morning Motivation, Sophia, for your lovely introduction, for inviting me as well. I'm so excited today to talk because this is something that I have been wrestling with for a really long time. This idea of these three super big scary words: self-accountability and motivation and organization, with every single thing that I do. And especially during lockdown, this has been so exasperated, right? It feels like every day going through the emotions and going through the hours of the day, walking a very thin line. So this is really about creating that digital workspace, creating a space to feel like you can be self-accountable, motivated, and organized. So for today, what I'm going to go over is first this mindset of self-accountability that has really shifted for me over the past couple of weeks. And then number two, my 3 strategies to stack the decks in your favor. And I really do think that's what it's about. We have no control over so many things, like this crazy, ridiculous lockdown if you're in Shanghai, but we do have a lot of control over ourselves and how we can stack the decks in our favors, again, to be self-accountable, to be organized, and to be motivated. At any point, feel free to screenshot anything in this presentation that you might want to save or that you might find helpful. As well, I'll be sending over a bunch of cool things like Notion templates and questions into the chat as well. All right, so first I'd like to just get started by having everyone think of something that you want to hold yourself accountable towards as we move forward. So this can be something super small, super simple. Maybe it's posting more on LinkedIn, maybe it's launching a startup idea, maybe it's getting a mentor, starting a cool project, getting a dog, and just write it down somewhere. You can WeChat it to yourself, note it down on a notepad, I don't know, write it on your back of your hand. Just keep it in your mind as we move forwards. And first, what I would like to start with is just this definition of entrepreneurship. And looking at it, what Oxford Languages says is it's the activity of setting up a business or businesses, taking on financial risks in the hope of profit. And so then I think to myself, why isn't everyone an entrepreneur? Because then you get to be your own boss. You can keep a lot of money, and it sounds fun and flashy. You get to be like, oh, I'm like Elon Musk. I'm an entrepreneur. That's fun and awesome. And what I would really like to do as an entrepreneur, and having gone through a lot of motions of, being burned out and starting projects, not being able to finish them, all these things, is I think the biggest risk in entrepreneurship is really the risk that you take in yourself. And I think that's a lot scarier than putting in 10,000 hours or 10,000 RMB. And this applies with so many things that we do, right? The greatest risk is, again, this risk that we take in ourselves, because the result of what happens is all up to us. And that's scary as fruitcake, right? And that's where the importance of self-accountability and motivation, organization really kicks in. And I really think this is a different way to look at both entrepreneurship and just how we are productive, existing individuals in general, because we are in this world where hustle culture is so prevalent, and everyone is thinking about, how much money are you making? How many people are you working with? How many companies are you working with? It's this Shark Tank driven mentality, get those investments, all of that. And I really want to step back and bring us into a place of, how can we get there, and how can we build a path to get there? So again, looking at what you have written down on the back of your hand, WeChat it to yourself on a notepad, what is it that you really want to keep yourself accountable towards? And what does that mean? For me, it's about doing the thing. Right? It happens in small and big bursts every day. I'm going to say this a lot today because it's the framework that I think is what productivity is about for me. It's again, I want to shift this mindset of self-accountability from results, investments, Shark Tanks into reflecting on the process. Because at the end of the day, when we're actually thinking about creating that LinkedIn post or writing a blog, it's not very difficult, right? It's maybe 30 minutes of your time, maybe it's 5 minutes of your time, but it's just about doing the thing. And it can take so much stress and pressure and time and energy to get there that it doesn't make doing the thing even worth it anymore. So again, it comes down to just doing the thing. And so whether it is for you, I don't know if it's finishing an application to a program, if it's updating a resume, starting a blog, working on a startup, let's work now on doing the thing. And how are we going to do the thing? Well, I realized that it's not about forcing myself into this Shark Tank to do the thing and putting this pressure on myself, forcing myself to do it every single day, but it's really about creating an environment where you can feel motivated and you can feel self-accountable and organized to do the thing. And that's what I really want to get into today. And how we're going to get into that is through Notion. And I know a lot of people have heard of Notion. It's a really awesome digital workspace. It's super pretty and I love it for a lot of reasons. A, because you can really make it your own. It's fully customizable and I need my spaces to feel like my own. Same concept as putting up a photo in the office or choosing the art that goes into my living room. I need it to be something that's mine that I can feel comfortable with. It's also a collaborative platform, which means that you can have people come in and add comments, add notes, view what you're viewing, things like that, as you wish, which is awesome. I also use it for my women entrepreneurship community, SheUp. It's how we stay organized and work across 7 different countries, and it's a super handy tool. And it really is an all around for everything. It does spreadsheets, it does photos, it does videos, it documents, organizations. I promise it really can do everything you want it to do. And it's also free. Right. But, at the end of the day, whatever platform you'd like to use or like to have even a notebook version, the point is that it's really your space. And I'll walk you through my Notion page. But at the end of the day, this can exist really anywhere. So here are my 3 strategies to stack the decks in my favor on Notion so that I end up doing the thing. First is about goal setting. And I have here goals that not only exist, but are transparent, that I have thought through, with goals that have a goal and then are smack in my face. And everyone talks a lot about goal setting. So I'm going to ask you not to drone out for this because I am by no means a goal setting expert. And I actually find goal setting extremely, extremely intimidating. And I've done the whole, write a goal on a sticky note and stick it inside your fridge or embroider it on a pillow or whatever. But honestly, it just seems like such an intimidating reminder of all to be done or of all that's not getting done. And it felt extraordinarily overwhelming. I don't know if anyone feels the same way about goal setting. But this is something that I also wanted to talk about with my mentor. I recently got a mentor. And throughout the process of setting goals for this mentorship, which I know is very meta, it's a lot to think about, I discovered a much more digestible method of really unpacking goals. So again, bear with me. This looks like a lot, but I came across a video by this YouTuber, Ali Abdaal, about how he sets his goals. And I really liked it because it really unpacked what goal setting meant. And it made me feel like not only do I understand what these goals are, but it makes me feel like there's a purpose with these goals, it makes me understand why I'm doing these goals. And it also allowed my goals to manifest and change. And I realized things that, maybe I don't actually want to achieve this goal, or maybe it means something different. And again, it's not about the end goal itself, but it's really about the reflection of the process. So I'm sending a link into the group chat of the full video if you want to see it. But essentially, this idea is it starts with what the dream is. So for example, I want to multitask less. And why do I want to multitask less? Because then I'll feel more motivated to do work, then I'll avoid burnout, I'll be more productive. And then it goes into your SMART goal, and SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. It's a method that a lot of people also use. Essentially, it's just setting a goal that, like what's the quick exact goal that you're going to get to. This is for my 2022 goals. So for me, in terms of multitasking less, it's, just listening to music when working and not TV shows. And this column is also super interesting. It's how surprised would I be if I didn't achieve this goal on a scale of 1 to 10. So 1 being like I would not be surprised at all, and 10 being, the world is ending if this goal doesn't happen. So I have, one of the goals I have for this year is to launch the She Up mentorship program. I'd be super surprised if that didn't happen. However, I would not be very surprised if I didn't end up multitasking less. And why my top 3 reasons for failing there is because I really love TV shows. I'm used to working with TV shows in the background. And I recently signed up for Disney Plus when I already have HBO Max and Netflix. There's just so much happening that, these are my top 3 reasons for failing. And then, of course, who can help with this and how can I stack the decks in my favor? I love this again because this really puts the control back into my own hands. I get really intimidated again by goals, and I'm someone who likes to feel like we're in control. I think human beings were all innately like that. So how can I stack the decks in my favor? Easy things like, I'll save songs on Spotify more. I'll always keep my AirPods and the speaker charged so I can be listening to music, all of that, just simple things. And then of course, action right now. What specifically do you want to do right now? So again, this process of writing down my goals, it felt good and it felt like it made a lot of sense. Again, goals that have a goal. And when I started thinking, I thought about why I want to achieve these goals and the reasons I might not achieve them. And this was just super helpful. So I'm copying these questions into the group chat as well, if in case you want to save them. I really love this method. Try it out and see what you think. And again, when I created this for my 2022 goals, I realized that my goals have different categories to them. So I have my 2022 goals, but I also have my life goals, and I also have some random goals. And a random goal, as an example, is I want to learn how to do a backflip. Is that something I'm going to do in 2022? Maybe not. Is it my biggest life goal? Maybe not, but I really want to learn how to do a backflip. One of my life goals is I want to be a better leader, and I want to learn from people around me so I can learn how to be a better leader. And is that something that I necessarily want to do only in 2022? And I'm going to say I have to do it in 2022? Not really, but it's something that I want to do throughout life. And again, the idea behind this entire method that Ali Abdaal has created is about not forcing yourself into the shark cage to do the thing, but creating an environment where you can feel motivated to do the thing. And that has been super, super helpful. And if you know Notion, you have kind of like, you can have your main workspace, and I have my goals right at the very top. This is the top of my work page. And over here, every month, I basically just do a quick 2 short, simple goals for each of these 4 categories. I realized that every month I have my personal goals, my health goals, my goals for my marketing company, and then my goals for my women entrepreneurship company. This might look different for you. It probably will look different for you, and it probably should look different for you. This is what it ended up being for me. And it's some things that I can cross off. For example, I have found a mentor, and we have launched the She Up mentorship program, which I'm super, super excited about. And these are things that I can cross off, but not everything can be crossed off. That's okay. But I like having this up at the top so I can just think about it and reference it throughout the day. All right, and the second part is allowing for a constant process of creating an environment that I can feel motivated in to make sure I don't fall back into the shark cage. Because I really do feel like, again, I'm walking such a delicate line sometimes. And if that line snaps, I will fall right back in. And I have fallen back in multiple times, reaching those points of burnout and just not wanting to do anything, not wanting to be productive. But then I realized that this is, I think, supposed to be a constant process. It's supposed to be a process that grows alongside you and changes alongside you. And what that means for me, what that looks like, is journaling. So I am not someone who likes to journal. I notoriously actually despise and kind of resent the journaling process. I have friends who are so good at journaling, who can't go to bed at night without writing pages and pages in their notebooks. They do that every single day. I know Alicia's in here. She has a fantastic journal, and she has a bunch of colors and colored pens and all of that. And I'm really not someone who likes to journal. It's really something that I've never gotten into the hang of. But for me, what this means is, I think, just thinking a little bit more about the day. So I've broken it down into daily, weekly, monthly, yearly. And it also meant for me that I didn't put any pressure on myself to actually do the daily ones every single day. I probably do maybe 3 or 4 a week. I do the weekly ones because they're nice and quick, and the monthly and yearly ones are a little bit bigger. But walking through them a little bit more, right? This is what my daily and weekly templates look like. I also realized I can't do blank page journaling. I have friends who are great at blank page journaling. When I do blank page journaling, it ends up saying, okay, woke up, had an apple, went for a run, cool day. Next, it was I had an orange, walked my dog. It was nice, right? So what worked for me was I went online, I did a bit of that internet searching for a couple of templates, and I started, I think, with these 4 questions here for the daily template. And then I realized the more that I did it, that I wanted to talk about a little bit about what I want to think about for tomorrow and things that I'm anxious about during the day. And this was just what worked for me. By doing it more, it changed and it adapted into something that could fit for myself. And I don't even answer all the questions sometimes. Sometimes it's 1 bullet point each. Sometimes I only answer 1 or 2 questions. Sometimes it's 6 paragraphs each because we're alone in lockdown and I feel lonely and I'm sick of talking to my dog. So I just put it all here and I write a bunch. Whatever it is, I let it be what it needs to be. And then the weekly ones are for me to just focus on my goals a little bit, reflect in general. Again, feel free to screenshot any of this if you feel like it might be helpful to reference. The point being, though, is that it's something that was able to change, and it's not something that's rigid, it's not static, it changes, it adapts, and it's different every single day. For my monthly and yearly ones, they are a little bit heftier. So each month I do this part 1 and part 2, reflect and plan. And then for a year, I do the reflect, plan, execute. And this execute section is exactly what that goals section was before, that table there. And for this is also questions that I got from Ali Abdal's video. So I'm going to send in that YouTube link again because not this one, because he really has just fantastic questions. And when I was thinking about this, these guiding questions and writing them down, I really liked these questions. I just wanted to answer them in general. And it's things like, what things did you stop caring about this year? Or what did you feel guilty for this year? How did you have fun differently this year? These are questions that I liked. I really genuinely wanted to answer. So again, every month, I don't put the pressure on myself to answer every single one of these questions. For a year, I like to spend more time on them, but also when I'm doing this for a year, it takes 4 or 5 days to put something like this together, which I think, it's not supposed to be an overnight process either. So again, all of this really reinforces the idea of none of this is about, hey, let's get to $1 million, right? It's about creating an environment to feel motivated, and it's constantly changing every day, every week, every month, every year. And so let's help it change and let's not fight it. That's what I was doing before with the journaling, when I was forcing myself to do it. I was trying to fight it, but this really helps me to take the pressure off and again, be on the same side as myself to get to the goals. And then finally, this is a simple one, is just dedicating a space to creative recharge. And I know we have a lot of super creative people with us today. And again, this is my homepage. So homepage on Notion, I have my goals here. Scrolling down, I have a personal section, a work section, a couple of quotes that I like from podcasts or books that I'm reading. And then I have this area of creative recharge. And what that looks like for me is I write down song lyrics from songs that I like. This is one of my favorite authors. I note down things she says in her books. I like creating little narrative videos. I like doing little doodles, finding inspiration for them. I'm by no means an expert at drawing, for example, but it's just nice to dedicate a space to it, because I realize that a lot of the hustle culture we are part of not only says that we have to be working 24/7, and it doesn't matter what work we're doing as long as we're working, but it makes us feel guilty for spending time doing things that aren't necessarily work. So having a spot for creative recharge on my homepage here really just helps to remind me that this can be a priority and it deserves its own space next to all the work responsibilities. And again, super low pressure. It's just what I need it to be when I want it to be something. And I want to, again, end on this note of this idea of not forcing myself into the shark cage to do the thing. And it really feels like that sometimes when I put out this big, massive to-do lists of things I have to do during the day. And it feels like I'm in this cage just fighting and trying to get all of it done. But it's about creating that environment where I can feel motivated to do the thing, and I can feel self-accountable, I can feel organized, I can feel motivated, because we have such massive capacities to do these things. It's just about getting there in the right way. And so finishing up, I'm again super excited that I have a mentor. That was one of my big goals for this year. I wanted to get a mentor, and mentorship also never been something that I really thought a lot about. I never wanted to put money into it. I thought, hey, I can do Notion. So Notion is basically my free therapy. But I realized that when you invest money into yourself, that can be super powerful. And when you know there's someone who is also invested into your personal growth. And something that I'm really excited about as well is also being able to launch our own mentorship program through the She Up community, my women entrepreneurship community. And this is for everyone. And it's just really exciting to see everyone so excited about this process of personal growth and see everyone work together like this. So as promised, I have a bunch of Notion templates as well. If you would like to use templates, basically you can just copy over all of this that I have, the blank version, and you can fill it in yourselves, and you can change all of these photos to be your own. I like horses, which is why I have horses here, but you can change it to whatever you want it to be. I can give you the blank templates if you would like them. Just add me on WeChat, and I'm always happy to connect more and talk more. I love talking about self-accountability, motivation, organization. I love understanding what that means for different people and how that can manifest and change and adapt. So always feel free to reach out. This is my handle on basically every platform. And that's it. So thank you so much again for joining on this Monday morning. And I hope that this is going to be your start to an amazing week ahead. And it'll be different for everyone. And I hope that it's going to be something that we embrace, not being a part of that shark cage, but being in a space where we are comfortable to be motivated for ourselves.
Thank you so much, Rachel. It was beautiful. And to be honest, I tried to use Notion for a couple of times, especially as I told you before, when I was writing my book. Like I tried to write my book on Notion, and I think the thing about these powerful tools such as Notion is that it might get a bit overwhelming if you don't really spend the time and don't have the patience to go through the process and to create your own space, your own home, right? Because it's all about creating your home, your virtual home, in Notion, right? And I think it's also so important to be patient and with these platforms, because they give you so much freedom, but with that freedom and that creativity also comes responsibility, in the sense of you kind of need to get organized inside of that huge space full of possibilities. So thank you so much for this beautiful talk. And now, everyone, it's time for questions. So feel free to unmute yourself. I would love to see your beautiful Monday morning faces. So feel free to turn on your camera, or at least unmute yourself. Drop your questions. Let us know what questions you have for Rachel. We have some awesome feedback. Thanks for sharing. Thank you so much, Rachel. It was amazing. Thank you, Rachel, for the inspiring and reassuring sharing. Hi, Jonas. Hi, Tristan.
Hey, Sophia. Hey, Rachel. Good to see you guys. I think same as you, Sophia. I have the question, like, what do you say, Rachel, to people who tried Notion and maybe even feel overwhelmed, right? Like, let's say I'm old school guy. I really used to Google Stack and been using that for so many years. And so, like, when you go to Notion, you have all these million fields and options, right? Like, how do you overcome that, right? Let's say for those of us over 30 and yeah, just been in Google for way too long.
Right, absolutely. So again, Notion, it can look super overwhelming and intimidating sometimes, but I think also the power of it is that you can make it super, super simple. You can make it whatever you need to make it. And all those extra fun buttons and all of that, they don't have to do anything. I probably use maybe 30% of Notion's full capacity. I don't think anyone uses Notion's full capacity. That would be crazy. It would be like literally your brain mapped out. But I love it because it can be simple. And then it's something that I really built upon. And for me, the manner of making it customizable, making it for my own, it was as simple as just changing these photos, right? Like for this journaling section, I kind of wanted to feel like a little princess while I was doing it, while I was thinking about journaling, which is why I have the castles and all of that. And that was really as simple as it was for me. And at the end of the day, if it's a space where you're writing things down, then it's a fantastic space that you're writing things down, and that's a win in itself.
Thank you so much, Rachel. And I totally agree. Sometimes it's really keeping it simple really helps, right? Just do the thing, as you said, just do the thing. So I think sometimes these platforms also, if you just keep it simple, sometimes it's easier, right? And slowly you can get to know more about the platform and learn more, right? So thank you so
Right,
much for your
exactly.
question, Janice. And good to see you here. Good morning, Chanika. Good morning, Janine. We have so many beautiful people today here.
So awesome to see all your faces. Sophia, I'm getting another question about journaling as well, which is how I use journaling for me. And this is actually a question that we got in the 7 a.m. as well, because again, I'm someone who really just isn't very good at journaling in what it is. I know so many people, and I always read that entrepreneurs all have like this big leather bound book of notes that they write in. And I always thought, this is completely not me. It's not something that I can do. I've tried doing it, but I can't do it. So for me, what journaling means is really just a space for me to kind of think about the day. And again, this is why I love Notion, because it's also an app on the phone, which means that I can whip it out on the metro and put in the notes of what I'm thinking. Again, I really don't put pressure on myself to do this every single day, which is, I think, how I have sustained this process in general. And these questions have really changed to become something that I felt like over the past couple of weeks, even past couple of days, I realized what I want to answer, and I want to think about I want to think about the things I'm thinking about for tomorrow, or I want to think about what I'm anxious about right now today, and things like that. So again, I think these templates are helpful to start with, and that's something that I can definitely include for everyone, blank templates for everything. But at the end of the day, it can be whatever you want it to be. And I think that's the power of journaling that I never wrap my head around, right? My mindset was always, okay, I have to do journaling because successful entrepreneurs do journaling, right? So it's like I have to do X to get to Y, and I have to do it because all these great entrepreneurs are doing it. But really, it's something that I think is personalized for everyone, as it should be.
Yeah. And I think something very powerful in journaling is also let your thoughts just write it down, and you will get insights in the process. But just really don't judge yourself just because you are not writing in a beautiful way, or just because you are not getting any specific result through journaling, but really just allowing you to not be perfect, and just let your thoughts go. And I think that's really powerful. Malati says, how to keep oneself motivated towards achieving goals without having hired a mentor, or is it important to have a mentor?
Right. So I think what I would say there, as an entrepreneur, especially, and over the past few weeks of lockdown, I've really realized that entrepreneurship is really lonely, right? It can feel super, super lonely because you're someone who's taking on all the risks yourself, no matter what goals you have. If it's starting a blog as well, or things like that, it can feel really lonely. And trying to do goals, I realized for myself, especially trying to work on goals on my own, it's it's a lonely process, and I really craved having someone to support me. And I only very, very recently got a mentor. And by recently, I mean like over the past month, and we've had maybe 2 calls so far. But I think it was also for me a matter of understanding that I have to invest in myself and that I'm worth investing in. Because sometimes I also felt like, okay, if I have 3,000 RMB, for example, I could put that into maybe hiring an intern for this month. But am I going to put it into getting a mentor for myself instead? And being able to prioritize these two different things, it took a lot of me falling off the productivity wagon and a lot of me feeling burned out and all of that to realize that I deserved to have that support for myself. So what I'm really saying then, for me at least, was it was a mindset shift. It was a change in mindset that was getting a mentor for me. And alongside that, it was the fact that they could support me and give me this additional advice and all of that. That being said, definitely it probably is very, very possible to keep yourself motivated without a mentor. Again, I think it's figuring out what works for you. For me, you know, I always thought that I could do it on my own as well. And I think I got really good at kind of faking that. But honestly, it almost got to the point where, especially right coming out of school, coming out of being a full-time student, I was so excited to go out into the world and go to all these events and put on conferences and run different programs, things like that, meet all these people. And I did do that. I had so much fun doing that for the first 2 months. But then on the days that I didn't do that, I felt like I felt like I wasn't succeeding. So again, this whole mindset shift was what getting a mentor meant to me. And that's why it worked for me.
Thank you so much, Rachel. We have a question from Tiffany. Tiffany is asking how to deal with uncontrollable or unplanned tasks at work that are impossible to plan ahead. Daily tasks that are uncertain and challenging can create a lot of stress.
Oh my goodness. Yes, absolutely. Again, it's so difficult because there's so many things in the world that we are not in control of. So for me in lockdown as well, what I realized, I went through a lockdown slump in Shanghai. I think many of us did, where for the first week I was super like, oh my God, this is exciting. I'm going to cook vegan. I'm going to do yoga all day. This is great. And then by week 2 and 3, I was just so demotivated with anything. I felt like, again, like you said, everything's so uncontrollable. It's so unplanned, it's so uncertain, and that feels really sucky and it feels really stressful. So what I did was because I also working in freelance, I also had similar experiences of, you know, there's just random things that happen that you need to take care of. I gave myself a space of randomness. And I actually have this in one of my Notion pages. I don't have it here, but in one of my Notion pages, I have set for like an hour or 2 hours every day where I do the things that are uncertain. And I don't know what that's going to be, but I plan for that, and I plan for a space of uncertainty. And again, for me, it was taking back that control and saying, hey, I'm going to allow this time and this set of to-dos to be the things that I don't know. And so that was super helpful for me, because there are so many things that we can't control again, which is really difficult. But I think, again, it was for me just trying to put the shoes on myself again. Hopefully that's helpful.
Thank you so much, Rachel. Nanyang is asking, what was the process you looked to get the mentor? Do you recommend paying for the services or the mentor like people do for coaching? Is there a difference?
Right. So for myself, actually, when I was thinking about wanting to get a mentor, I actually knew someone in mind who I wanted to be my mentor. And she doesn't actually do one-to-one mentorships, but she is someone who is my good friend who I've worked with before. And I know she knows me really well. And she's just a person where when I'm around her, I feel like I'm learning. And I love those people in my life. So I actually just reached out to her and I said, hey, I know you haven't done one-to-one mentorships before, but could I have a budget set aside? Could we work something out? And that was what it was. So for me, it was a super organic process. I am not super certain actually about what it's like to look for mentors and things like that. I think for me, at least, if I'm looking for someone to be authentic and vulnerable around, it really needs to be an individual that I trust, not just an individual. It needs to be someone that I really know. There are a lot of fantastic people, especially in the Shanghai community of mentors who are fantastic and coaches who are fantastic. I'm going to be super honest. I know there's a difference between mentorship and coaching. I have read it a couple times and I don't remember off the top of my head what that difference is. If anyone does know, Alicia might know, or Sophia, if you know, please pop in the chat or something. And again, for me, paying for it was an investment on myself. And that was also a way that I kept myself accountable towards what I want to do with the mentorship. I need it to be something serious that I'm like, okay, I'm going to actually focus on working on myself and personal growth so that I can become a better person, or so that I can achieve these goals XYZ that I want to achieve. I think Alicia just mentioned she can explain the difference as well. Maybe Sophia, we can have Alicia explain the difference between mentorship and coaching, because I'm also curious.
Yeah, and Alicia also has a question, so feel free to unmute yourself, Alicia.
Hello, everybody. Good morning.
Good morning.
So when we're looking at these differences, I know Janine is saying it, a coach does help you to achieve what you want, but and that's true. The mentor is usually somebody who has done what you want to succeed at. So if you are an entrepreneur, the mentor would be somebody who's actually walked in those shoes and has succeeded. And so they have a different kind of advice. Whereas a coach is going to be able to help you to bring more things out of yourself. And a consultant is the last other step. And that's a person who's going to actually give you advice from the field and from their expertise. So there is a lot of things that look similar, but those are the main differences. Yeah.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much, Alicia, for explaining. Thanks, Janine, for popping in as well.
That's also how I see it. So a mentor is someone that will guide you through the process, but as someone that already has experience in that field, whereas a coach is more someone that will guide you through your own thinking process and, you know, help you to get some new insights. But overall, everything comes from you in coaching. So we believe in coaching, we believe that, you know, people already have all the answers inside of themselves. So we just help them to bring them out. So I think that's basically the difference, right? But I think both are so powerful, right? And when combined, I believe they are even more powerful, right? So thank you so much, Alicia. Alicia, you had a question, right? I think you asked, how do you use this with your team? I think, how do you use Notion with your team? Any tips?
Right, yeah. So we do use Notion for the SheUp community across 7 different countries and time zones. We have 15 people on our team on Notion, and and it's also a process that really changed. So at the beginning, I was using it for to work with the interns and to kind of do the progress tracking on the boards. And then eventually we got to a stage where we didn't need to do that anymore. And now what it looks like is it's really our space to brain dump ideas and to collaborate on ideas. I have, maybe that's an entirely other section because there's a lot there, but the SheUp community Notion, what it looks like is we have categories for our 3 main verticals. So one vertical is the mentorships that we just newly launched, for example, and another one is the memberships that we are working on launching. And then what we have within each one is just kind of like a brain dump of all these ideas that we have. And then that's what we start with. And then we go into organizing a little bit more and saying, okay, how can we actually make these mentorships exist? All of that, yada, yada, yada. There's really so much there, but essentially it's also like Google Docs, right? It's how we put Google Docs together. It's nothing particularly fancy and special. I've also realized that because I'm someone who likes to embrace all the extra features of Notion and all the techie aspects, but not everyone is like that. And not everyone wants to be like that either. So I started with wanting to do all of these crazy boards and galleries and functions and timelines, but it ended up being, at the end of the day, just an area for us to be able to work collaboratively, to message each other, to add comments on things, and a space for us to work really. And Notion again is great because each person has their own private space as well then. And so people can work and then put that in, things like that. It's kind of like, I would say we use it like Google Docs on steroids. And it's just a lot more of a workspace than a Google Doc is, I would say.
Thank you.
Much. Thank you, Rachel, and thank you so much, Alicia, for your question. So thank you so much, everyone, for your wonderful questions. Rachel was already added to all of the groups, so she will also share a few thoughts on the groups, so you can also reach out to her later. Right now, I'm just gonna share our lineup for May. So next week, next Monday, we're gonna have Dino. He's gonna be talking about how to achieve an above average level of confidence in under 10 minutes. Ooh, sounds exciting. And we will also have April, this coming Wednesday, talking about couple dance and the roles in society. She's going to touch on some topics like mental health as well, and how couple dance can help with that. So we have some awesome speakers coming up. We also have our Monday morning meow, so our collaboration with Fuzzy Kitten Volunteers. So if you have the chance, if you want to adopt a little cat, Javi is ready for that. Yeah, so Alicia is sending a heart because she is the one that come up with Monday morning meow and suggested that, and we are so grateful for that as well. We also have our 1,000,003 project. So if you want to collaborate, to contribute, feel free to do so. And half of the proceeds go to the 1 million project. And now it's time to thank you. Thank you everyone for being here today with me and Rachel. It's always a pleasure to have you and to feel inspired by this beautiful community. So thank you so much and have a beautiful Monday morning and a beautiful start of your week. Thank you.
Thank you all. Have an amazing week.
Thank you so much,
very much.
Rachel. Thank you. Thank you, Martin.
Thank you.
Sophia, okay, again, you
Even.
guys are awesome for doing this every single week. You are our stability during lockdown.
Thank you so much, Rachel. Thank you. Melanie, thank you. Great week. Bye, everyone. Have a beautiful week.